Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love talking about good news, especially with our City Current partners. And that's why we're excited to have with us Terry Blue, President and CEO of Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority, also known as MEM, Memphis International Airport. How are you doing?
Hey, Jeremy, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be with you.
Well, it is exciting when you look at all the concourse renovations, and my team and I have been flying out even recently, as we were talking about before we hit record, and it's amazing to see what it means for our city, for us as travelers, and so excited to have this conversation. But let's start with a little bit of background, some history for Memphis International Airport. Give us some of that cool history.
Sure. All right. Well, let's start kind of get back at the beginning, I guess. The Memphis Municipal Airport was dedicated back in 1929. At that time, it was just 200-acre plot of farmland, and I think it started with a grass strip. About 9 years later, in 1938, the community decided that they really needed to invest and be able to accommodate the increased demand for commercial passenger traffic, and built their first modern terminal at that time there on Winchester Road. Part of that building still exists, believe it or not. It's the old, it's the signature fixed base operation there for commercial aviation on Winchester. Then in 1963, the city of Memphis commissioned the new terminal building that everybody recognizes today, commissioned June of 63 at a cost of a whopping $6.5 million back then, designed by famous architects Roy Harover and Mr. Mann. That is pretty much the building that people know and recognize today. And we're going to touch a little bit on the importance of that and the project we've got planned for it moving forward.
Talk about some of the things that you control. When you talk about Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority, what is in your control? And I think it's something cool that you all talk about on the tours that you give is, really kind of talking about, okay, who does what at the airport?
Well, first off, thank you for recognizing those tours, Jeremy. Our John K. Thompson world-class tours that we host, and we try to bring people in and talk to them about the airport and give them a peek behind the curtain. So we want to put a shout out about that, where people can sign up for that through our website. But what does the Airport Authority do? Well, everybody's familiar with a shopping mall, right? So think of us kind of like a shopping mall. We're the mall, but we're not Macy's. Okay, so we're a facility operator. We operate 3 different airports. Of course, MEM, Memphis International Airport, but we also have 2 smaller general aviation airports, General DeWitt, Spain, down on the riverfront, and then Baker Airport up near Millington, just outside of town, next to the old raceway. So we operate these facilities, and in the context of Memphis International Airport, we maintain the building, we maintain the runways, we maintain the grounds, we provide facilities for our partner organizations to operate that at. In this case, the partner organizations being the airlines. The airlines who handle your ticketing, who handle your bags, who operate your airplanes, or the TSA, the government essentially that does everything from security screening in the context of the TSA, or the FAA that guides and directs aircraft where to go both on the ground and in the air. We have business relationships with some contractors that do provide services like our food and beverage operator, Host, or our news and gift concession operator, Parodies, or another concession operator, if you think about it, is the rental car operators. So again, we're facility operators. We provide an opportunity for businesses to offer their goods and services at.
Touch on some of the statistics, some of the numbers that really warm your heart when you look at the cargo logistics and Memphis International Airport always being at the top of the list in terms of, the cargo, obviously thanks to FedEx. But when you look at some of those, the passenger numbers now, the growth, what are some of the things that warm your heart when you look at those trends and the numbers?
Well, on the cargo side, everybody thinks FedEx, right? And we are so appreciative to have them here. There's such a foundational bedrock for our community. And thanks to FedEx, we are the busiest cargo airport in North America, a title we've had for many years, and certainly very proud of that. On the passenger side, as you touched on, we are actually experiencing year-over-year growth, and the last 2 years have been consecutive records for origin and destination passengers. Now, once upon a time when this airport was a hub, believe it or not, Jeremy, it's been like over 13 years ago that we were once a hub. It's been a minute. We may have had more total passengers, but back during those days, 2 out of every 3 people never really stepped foot in the 901. They connected on aircraft through the airport. So as it stands today, we have more origin and destination passengers, meaning people that are either leaving the 901, going somewhere, be it the beach or vacation or to go see grandma, or they're coming into our community to see our sites and experience our culture and perhaps do business in the Memphis community.
I know that I alluded to it in the beginning, but it really is exciting when you look at the renovations for the concourse and everything from just, the light and the feel, the modernization, the charging of the phones, like all the little things, including obviously new restaurants and amenities. But touch on that, and then we'll talk about the future of where we're going. So touch on when you talk about the concourse and that redesign and what that means for Memphis International Airport, and obviously for us as, the passengers. Talk about that exciting news.
Well, thank you for recognizing that. I really appreciate it. The concourse, as you referenced, was modernized and opened just over 3 years ago in 2022, and really was reinventing the travel experience at Memphis International Airport. We went from the old 1960s confined hold rooms with the gray brick, very little natural light, narrow hallways, and spread out gates into a more consolidated facility with a lot of light, a lot of focus on enhancing the passenger convenience and the passenger experience. Big, large, open hold rooms, as you mentioned, power everywhere. With the possible exception of the restrooms, about anywhere you sit, you can plug in your device, right? And the art, the connection to our community, new refreshed concessions, and we've got a business center. We've got some dedicated lounges for our military, for the patients and families of the St. Jude coming and going, and I could go on and on. Every time I talk to somebody, they really comment about just how wonderful that modernization has turned out. And really, I've got to give a lot of credit to the design team, local architects, Urban Arc, partnered with Alliance out of Minneapolis, and then the local staff and our partners that all put so much time and thought and effort into it, and really, really focused on the passengers and the customers. And I think it's the facility that the community deserves. And judging by the comments and reactions we've had, I think we came pretty close to hitting the mark.
Absolutely. I think it's a massive source of pride for us in our community. So carry that into MEM on the Move. Talk about what MEM on the Move is and why this project is so important for the future.
Okay, well, MEM on the Move is our overarching brand for a lot of improvements that we're focused on doing in the next few years. So under that umbrella of MEM on the Move, we've got some smaller projects and some much larger ones, and I'll kind of touch on them in that order. On a smaller end, not necessarily in terms of impact or cost, but enhancements to our parking operations. Here very soon, we're going to move forward with a project to put in parking guidance system that'll, give those red and green lights over parking stalls so that people are able to quickly and easily identify available parking. We've installed a new parking management system and improving the signage. Signs out there that let the parking public know how many spaces are available per level, and really, again, focusing on our customers, our users. So really looking at parking or a parking enhancement program being one element of MEM on the Move. A much larger project that's getting an awful lot of attention is what we call our Terminal Modernization and Seismic Program, or TMSP. Again, a subset of MEM on the Move. And TMSP is going to be a 6-year, more than $700 million project to modernize that building we were talking about, that terminal that was built in 1963. And TMSP is really going to bring that iconic architectural structure into the 21st century and really focus on the customer when we do it. And then we've got some other enhancements we're looking at a little farther down the road, where we're going to look at perhaps improvements to our rental car facilities. So, but really, terminal modernization is going to get a lot of the focus under MEM on the Move.
I know that a lot of things, as you alluded to, they might not necessarily be public facing, although obviously the parking and such is, but things like the de-icing facility that really allow us to future-proof and safeguard the travelers and the cargo for FedEx. And I think there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you all are doing. And that's kind of, for me, on the seismic side, is that really allow us to be more safe and protected for everything that we're doing. And so talk about why things like that are so important when you look at the seismic side of this, and making sure that the facilities are safeguarded there. Some of those things that the public might not see, but why it's so important for the future of MEM.
Well, exactly. Memphis as a whole is the logistics capital of the United States, right? And Memphis International Airport is a very, very big piece of that. We provide the runway of that runway, road, rail, river combination that makes Memphis what it is. And we need to make sure that this facility is able to support both passenger and cargo operations, not only today, but well into the future. And you touched on our recent $300 million de-icing pad that was a big piece of that, to make sure that we can safely and efficiently move people and goods through this airport, no matter the conditions. And, that was one big piece of it. But moving towards the seismic, that's a big piece of this terminal modernization. After all, it is the Terminal Modernization and Seismic Program. And as we recognized earlier, the terminal building was built in 1963. Well, a couple of key things about that. Number one, in 1963, there was no such thing as seismic building codes. I don't believe those came about to like the 1980s. And as most Memphians know, we're like 90 miles away from the New Madrid seismic zone. So the building wasn't made to shake. So we need to address that. Back in the 60s, there also was not a requirement to sprinkle or put in fire suppression into buildings. So people are often shocked about that. So we need to go back in and update the building and put in that, those modern life safety features. At the same time that we're seismically enhancing and putting in those other building code measures, we're really going to focus on the customer. And that starts by moving the front of the building out into the roadway, creating additional space, like 40% more space in the Terminal B area, the core part of the building, and then moving around all the vertical circulation. If you come into our building, it's kind of chopped up a little bit, and it was built for an era that doesn't exist anymore. I think in the very early 60s, late 50s, when they would have been designing and building the building, I think a lot of the aircraft still have propellers on them. The jet age was just kind of starting to become a thing. And of course, the passenger loads were much smaller. There was no such thing as computer kiosks and so forth. And airport security didn't come around until the 70s. So the process has evolved, and the building needs to evolve with it. And boy, I could get into a lot of depth about what we're going to do to do that modernization, but also pay attention to the historic architectural elements of the building at the same time.
I think it's important though, because I mean, just for the listeners and viewers to see, like, it's a complex thing, right? Like, it's not as
Oh
simple as,
my.
okay, let's just, put a new front on the building and we're good to go. Like, there's a lot of things that go into this that add cost, that add time, that add a lot of complexity. And I think that's where this is a really important conversation to me in terms of just all the nuances and the things that you and your team have to configure and think about. Carrying
If
that
I
into,
could I?
because you are in the people moving business and logistics, and
Mhm.
so when you talk about the timing of this and making sure that all the flights and the passenger flow is still smooth, talk about balancing that dynamic with the timing of these projects.
Well, exactly. You hit on it in that, this is probably the most complex project we've ever had to do because we can't close the airport terminal building when we're doing it. And as you were alluding to, that adds time and cost. And that's why this is going to be not only probably the most complex project we've ever done, but probably one of the most expensive that the airport authority has ever undertaken as well. And the analogy I try to use for folks is when you go home tonight, wherever it is you live, I want you to walk around your house, your apartment, your condo, whatever, and say, you know what? I think I'm going to modernize my kitchen and my bedroom and my bathroom and maybe repaint the family room all at the same time while I'm going to continue living here. And that's really what we're in store for. So there's going to be periods of time where, the XYZ Airlines ticketing is over here today, but tomorrow it might be over there. It's going to be very challenging, which is why this is going to cost us, 6 years plus and 700 million plus to get done. But I do want our customers to know that those are not words of warning to avoid the airport. We've got a team that is so focused and so dedicated on the customer experience that, yes, of course, we'll have our partner dust signs up, but we are going to make sure that we remain the Mid-South airport of choice all the way through this construction project, and that when it's all said and done, that experience that you were referencing in our recently modernized concourse is carried forward into our terminal building, which is really kind of that, that front door to our community.
And I think when you look at the success of that concourse redesign and renovation, I think that's where for the public, it's like, yeah, we'll give up a little bit over here of, navigating maybe the kiosks in a different place. But the reality is when you look at what it means, the end result, it's going to be amazing. So I
Oh
think that's
my.
where just, when you look at the success of the concourse, like that grace carries over. And it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome for our city. So can't wait. And a little dust here and there, totally fine. Carry
Love
that
it.
into then other things when you look at, exciting ways to stay in the loop. Obviously, you've got your website and it's awesome because you can see all the different flights and everything and options. But carry it into how do we carry this conversation forward? Where do we go for more information on MEM, Memphis International Airport, and all the amazing things going on?
Well, you did touch on our website. Thank you. Flymemphis.com. And we've got dedicated pages on there for our terminal modernization and seismic program. We've also got a great PR team that is very active on all the socials, Instagram and Facebook. And you're quickly going to get out of my social media credentials here. But if there's a social platform, our team is out there and on it. And then as we touched on at the beginning, as you mentioned, we also do tours as well on a monthly basis from February through November, our world-class tours. Once again, you can learn more about that on our website, flymemphis.com.
And it's also the season for Arts in the Airport as well. So as everyone goes through, they get to see the amazing artwork created by our high school students. And so I love and appreciate everything you all do to not only allow for all the travel, but also to the community engagement and the giving back as well. So Terry Blue, President and CEO, Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority, Memphis International Airport. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Jeremy, thank you, and thanks to the City Current team for all you do for our community.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.